everybody. This is the Team ISA. Well, certain members of Team ISA, not everybody is on today. But we are here because we are doing You Ask, We Answer, an ISA team roundtable where we are just going to answer those burning questions that you guys have that you're waiting to find out more information about. And we'll just jump around from topic to topic and just try to answer as many questions as we can, the best that we can. I mean, obviously, disclaimer is there's probably 1,000 different ways that you can do things and navigate this business. So one way that one person here advises is not necessarily what might work for you or somebody else. So, you know, take it as knowledge and do it the way that you want to do it, or, you know, take that with you and ask somebody else and figure out your best way, because there is no one specific way to make it in this industry. As we all know, there are a bazillion. So before we get started, we're going to go around and introduce ourselves. Team ISA, I will start. I'm Shayna Weber. I'm the Senior Manager of Production and Events, and I moderate some of these events for ISA, as well as a bunch of other behind the scenes things. I've been with ISA for 3 years-ish, and I'm also a screenwriter and producer myself. So hopefully I can answer some of the questions for you along with these people. So next we will go to Felicity.
Hello, I'm Felicity WREN. I'm the VP of Development for the ISA. I've been with the team for 7 and a bit years. So I'm a whole new person. All my blood cells have changed whilst working for the ISA. My passion, my love as screenwriters, I love you. I think we can change the world with story, and I think it's our obligation to do so. I can't do anything useful, as in build things, but I can help people with their careers. I particularly look for voice and a specific point of view, and someone with something to say. That our development slate, we have 169 writers on there. We've met every single one of them. We love you. They're very talented. They come to us from all different walks of life. I think telling your story is the most important thing, however you live your life and whatever role you have in your life. It just so happens that we get to do the fun stuff of telling our stories in films and TV shows and books and prose and art. So hooray for us. And I will pass it on to Max Tim.
I am the Director of Education with the ISA. I'm the co-VP alongside Felicity with our development and production company, Creative Screenwriter. And I'm also a consultant, so I work one-on-one with writers through a consulting service called The Story Farm. I host a lot of these types of events and podcasts. Scott Markus and I have a podcast called The Fantastic Story Society. Yes, I'll plug that as much as I can. And I helped write the coursework that's available through the craft course with the ISA. And, you know, I focus on all elements of development, from concept brainstorming down to character development, to structure, to page work. I've been working in the screenwriting educational side of the business, just as well as the business in general, since roughly 2005. I've been with the ISA. I'm coming up on 7 years, right behind Felicity. So that's me for now. Plenty of other things I can go into, but we'll pass it over to Jordan.
Hi, I'm Jordan. I'm the Senior Contest Manager here. So all the contests that you guys like to enter, I help run them. I am also part of the development team, and I help read your stuff as it comes in. I have been with ISA for 6 years, 4 as a reader and 2 as this position. I'm also a screenwriter, and
I'm the founder of the International Screenwriters Association. I started out as a filmmaker, actor, screenwriter, and the ISA was born from having gone through this process and trying to figure out where the best way to get better at writing. I had spent a bunch of years trying to figure it out on my own, and trying to find good resources to rely on, and ultimately decided to create a site that would kind of call it all together for you. And it's just been growing, and now we have this incredible team, and there's another 7 or 8 people on the team who are unfortunately not here tonight, but You probably met them at other Third Thursday events live, and some of those that are in person, which is cool, which hopefully we'll be coming back to soon. Currently, we're working on, or the main focus that I have is rebuilding the website. We're rebranding it, coming up with a more modern look to it, and improving all the user functions so that it's even easier to navigate, and you'll be able to get your screenplays into the right hands more easily. So some great stuff that's coming. So stay tuned for that, because that's all happening over the summer into the fall. And I will pass it on to Scott Markus.
Thank you, Craig. So yeah, Max and I, we go way back. We were actually college roommates back at Columbia College back in the day. And my background is I started out, I went to school for writing and producing for television, but then I broke in on the production side. Worked in Hawaii for a number of years before finally making my way out to Los Angeles. Don't do so much with physical production, narrative production anymore, but I do I do all of our videos. I do a lot of editing overall in general, but all of our pro tips and tricks pages, that's where my current work lie. I do, when the world is a different place, I get to go to a lot of festivals with some of our fun members of this team here. Sundance and Tribeca, and it's really a blast. I think a lot of my background in creativity comes from journalism too. So anyway, that is kind of what I do. And whereas Jordan works with the ISA contests, I work with the contests that are not part of the ISA, but I get them to be involved with us and try to work together. And I have a lot of fun building relationships, which is another thing that this whole crazy industry is all about. So I
think that's a good segue to one of the questions a little bit, even though I'm not directly answering Ryan's question just yet, that just popped up, but it is something that comes out a lot from our members in terms of asking us. But in terms of those contests that are not directly ours, they are vetted. So every contest that you see on the site, Scott does his research on them to make sure they're not bogus. But you know, most contests are not. I actually feel kind of bad saying that, but you know, we want to have the best possible ones on there. Obviously, Scott, you can speak to that.
Yeah, absolutely true. We do have some standards, which I don't want to make it seem like if it's not on our site, then it's bad, because that's not the case. But we do try to have a higher bar so that if any contest is listed with us, it has gone through a vetting process. It's been around for a while, that they provide good bang for the buck. But the thing is, one of the things I love so much about the ISA, and I can go on too long about that, is that this is still a community. So if anybody ever has any experience that's less than wonderful, we do want to know about it, because we do try to keep the highest standards, because sometimes a good contest, they get sloppy or something like that. I don't want to say that'll happen, but you never know. But we don't know about it unless we hear from you. So this organization, this company, this community that we built grows because you help us grow.
Yeah.
Well said. Well said.
The first one up is from Henry. This is a kind of a great broad one to start with. I have a couple producers interested in my first script, which is great. What happens next? Do I meet and entertain offers? What questions should I ask them? And what am I looking for from them? How do I navigate this?
It's about making sure, first and foremost, that the relationship is up to par, that you understand who this person is and you know what they're looking for and wanting to do, because there are some nuances to that question, meaning they're interested in the script, and so you need to know what that means. Are they interested in just reading it and considering it, or are they interested in optioning it? Are they interested in funding it? Like, there are a lot of different levels. I assume they're interested in reading and considering it at this point. If they are interested in some form of a legal agreement, then obviously you need to read that contract, preferably find some form of an entertainment attorney or someone who has background in reading contracts to help you make sure that it's just, feeling pretty good. That's a whole other conversation and lecture, but just ask. You're never going to be asking stupid questions. If they ask to just consider and read the project, send it to them. It's pretty as simple as that. Don't go crazy with the mail, like don't give them all these images and 12 different lookbooks and here's, explain what draft you're on. Just go, great, here's the PDF. I'll check in with you in 3 weeks. So it's very relative to the situation in terms of what that person is asking for. Brian saying don't ask for an NDA at the outset.
Yes, please.
That shows a little bit of a little naivete up front, because anyway, I'm not a lawyer. I can't really talk about contract agreements all that well, but I think that's the best way to answer that. I mean,
I can add to that. I think the thing is, it's like if you enter into an agreement with a producer, you want to think of it like this is going to be a marriage moving forward. So you need to do your research on that producer. You need to look at the other things they've produced. And I think you really want to have a meeting with them if you can, if they've read the work, and then your host, so that you see that you get on, that your ideals are the same, that you want the same stuff from the project. And then you need to see who they're going to take it to, what promises they're going to make you. Because again, it's not to, sometimes people can do a lot of talking and they're not doing very much action. Sometimes it's not their fault because things change, COVID happens, life happens. But you do want someone who has a track record, or you want to go, I love this person so much that I'm willing to go on this journey with them, even though they're starting out and I'm starting out. I think you have to really trust your gut on that a lot. And then I think this is, even though it's a big business, it's also a small one. I would ask people discreetly if they know them and if anyone's heard anything about them, and just try and get a bit of an inside track, because they might know something that you don't. Jordan, you've also had scripts optioned, and how's the experience been for you?
Sometimes good, sometimes not so good. I think the most important, you have to know what you want, first and foremost. Like, if you wrote a script specific, the mercenary side of things, if you wrote a script specifically to sell it because you wanted that first step, or you want the money, or whatever, then you have to know that that's what you're there for. If what you want is to see it made exactly the way you want it to be made, if it's your baby and it's your passion, then you need to find someone who loves it the way you do, and who isn't going to take your period drama and turn it into a story about robot dogs, right? Like, that's not useful to anyone. And it's always going to be a leap of faith, but there are certain things to be wary of, and if anything gives you pause, it's always okay to be polite and asking for clarification, because they're working with you. You are the creator, you're the content creator. They may be able to translate it to the screen, they may be able to do a number of things for it, but you know this project, and anything that kind of makes you uncomfortable is probably going to be something that makes you uncomfortable in a couple months when they're doing even more for the project. So just trust your instincts and value yourself, and value what you want from the situation.
Yeah, I agree with that, and be careful of over asking. There's a lot of these a lot of new writers will hear a story about somebody getting a certain amount of money and getting all these great contract deal, this incredible contract deal. But if it's your first project, or even your second project, again, like Jordan is saying, how much do you want to get this made, and how much do you want to get it made exactly the way you wrote it? Where's the balance? Where's the find that space that you're comfortable with and surrender to that. And also be very, very patient, because when you do sign a deal with somebody, it will not happen tomorrow. The deal will not close tomorrow, and your arrangement might, but you're not going to necessarily go into production for a year, 2 years. So you really have to know right away that the process is incredibly slow, and to just have patience with it. I had a pilot with a manager in my first pilot in LA, and it took I don't know, like a year and a half to get pretty much. It just took forever to get even no's, so you just kind of have to sit in it, and you have to surrender to it and start writing another project. We saw recently, we have a project out that the writer has gotten so impatient that he started rewriting the draft that we have out. Don't do that. Don't rewrite the draft we have out, because that draft is the one we're trying to sell, and now you're rewriting it. So now we need to know what you changed, and we need to be okay with those changes as the producers. And then we also, if we have representation, they need to be okay with it. You mess up a whole chain of things going on. So be patient, work on the next project, and know that your team, your people, the ones you're working with that you trusted with, like trust your gut, like Jordan and Felicity said, trust your gut, and then surrender to it, and then work on the next project. And don't get too caught up in the day-to-day wonderings about where is it, why isn't it sold, and why aren't we in production when Netflix is producing 14 shows this week? Just have patience.
Yeah. And to address Rose's pretty similar question, a development executive wants to chat with me. We've never met, nor does she know about my work. What should I be ready for? A conversation, Rosa. It's like just get to know you back and forth. You probably won't be pitching material. If she asks you, then you should be ready. But us writers, we all need to be able to do that snap of a finger. If anybody asks what you're working on, here we go. You got to jump into it. But
I've done quite a few of these recently.
Yeah.
So I'll touch base on that too. You're selling yourself, but you're not forcing yourself on them. You want to start a relationship that will grow with that person and not necessarily force things down their throat on this first call. You want to show the best qualities of yourself while also being professional, and don't ask what they can do for you right away. It's a long, this is a long game. You want to forge these relationships and have them think of you if something pops up. They may ask you what you're working on, so be prepared with your top things that you like, or have them on the side on a notepad, like your projects that you're working on. So in case they do say, well, what are you working on, or what do you like to work on? But don't expect a lot from that initial conversation, but think of it as the long game.
Yeah, I would say really prepare some questions for them. Do it as a becoming their best friend. So do all your research, find out the things they've done, flatter them to death, but not literally death, but don't kill them, because then you want to get a job. Yeah. You want them still to be alive so they can hire you.
It's a really interesting thing there, Felicity, is that concept. I had a meeting with an executive once, and he had just been to market because, you do the research a little bit. He had just been to market with a similar project to something I was developing. And so I asked him, like, how did it go? What's, this guy has his finger on the pulse for this exact type of thing. And he ended up saying, oh, it went poorly. I'm never going to try to make a show like that again. So then I said, well, why? Like, what exactly happened? So then it went from like any kind of a pitch session to like, I'm interviewing him, and he revealed like why it didn't work. And so doing, he kind of showed me how I could craft my pitch so that it didn't hit those same things. It found different paths, or found ways that negative becomes a positive with this idea. So yeah, there's lots to always be learning from.